I'm going to drop all kinds of free advice today. Take notes. So unless you've been living underground, which now that I think about it, it's probably the best place to be right now. But you're fully aware that we're kind of going through something at the moment, little pandemic action. And this whole thing is affecting a lot of people, but today we're talking about musicians. Musicians are taking a hard hit with this thing, and it's mainly because of how we're trying to combat and sort of reverse the problem with this whole social distancing thing. So as a result, everything's getting shut down. Bar gigs, wedding gigs, festivals, theater productions, tours, all of it's getting shut down. Now, whatever side of the fence that you're at with this thing, whether you're part of the crowd that thinks it's a serious problem or part of the crowd that's, think everybody's kind of making a big deal out of it. Either way, regardless of what you think, musicians are losing money, because they had a lot of stuff lined up coming up on summer, especially. All of these festivals and everything have been lined up, and all this work for stagehands and musicians and everybody involved with the creation and presentation of a festival out of work. So, that's a lot of lost income. So in this video, I want to just talk to all my drummers out there. I mean, this will apply to anybody that plays an instrument for a living. But, this is a drum channel, so I'm going to be talking to my drummers out there. I'm just going to give you some advice, maybe a couple of things that you can do to sort of carry you over this slow period, and also maybe give you some advice on how you can prepare for the future. Now, it's obviously hard to predict how long it's going to take for this thing to pass, and rest assured, it will pass. All right, don't worry about that. Just like everything else, this too will pass. But nobody knows how long it's going to take. All we know is that right now, nobody's booking anything. So it's a good idea to sort of have some ideas on deck as far as how you can start to generate at least a little bit of an income in the meantime. So if you feel like taking a few notes, I just have 4 suggestions here that you might want to consider. The first one, and probably being the most obvious one, is just consider teaching for the time being. Skype lessons, to be exact. You don't really need a whole lot of stuff to get Skype lessons going. You can always Google to find out the best way to do it. But I do know a few people that have successfully done some Skype lessons. Some of them are still doing it, and they're making pretty good dough at it. It's probably, as well as being, the most unfortunate time at the moment, it might also be the most opportune time, because not a whole lot of people are going to be actually going out to their lessons. So who knows, right? They might be looking for something in the meantime. So, if you got the stuff, if you got the room in your place to do it, jump on all of the platforms that you normally use. Pick the ones that are going to get you almost immediate feedback. So Facebook, Twitter, IG. If you have a YouTube channel, even better. But just, get some stuff together and then just start advertising Skype lessons. The second suggestion that I have is for all my drummers out there that are in dedicated bands at the moment. If you had a bunch of shows that are no longer happening for you, one way that I see a lot of bands going right now that seems to be a really cool idea is live streaming shows. So get together with your crew and maybe discuss the possibility of just picking a location. Maybe somebody's house is adequate, but you can live stream your shows. There's a cool website called Stage It. I don't know if you ever heard of Stage It, but that's basically the whole idea behind Stage It. It's just like a live streaming performance platform. You can set up a tip jar, and people can contribute. It's like buying a ticket to your show. if you got a big enough following, you might actually be able to clean up. I don't mean like, tons of dough or anything, but you can probably at least match what you might get paid to play at whatever venue that you were going to be playing. So, I mean, if you haven't heard of that, go check out the website. It's called stageit.com. And yeah, see what they're all about. As far as I know, it's free to set up. Like, there's no membership or nothing. And yeah, just explore that option because a lot of bands are going that way. The third option that I want to throw at you stays on the theme of this whole live streaming thing, but you can live stream drum clinics. If you have a knack for relaying good information, you can always put the word out that you're going to live stream a clinic from wherever, your house. If you want to, rent out a room somewhere that's a little more adequate sound-wise. But that's another option. You can start to live stream clinics, workshops, whatever, straight from your house. And again, you can go through a website like Stageit, set up a tip jar, and just ask people to contribute. The fourth option I would like to recommend for you bands out there that already have a decent following, you could always start up a Patreon account or a Patreon campaign for your band. If your band has a following, people that love to come out and see your shows, they're not going to mind supporting you, especially through these times now because everybody knows how tough it is for musicians at the moment. But yeah, you can start a Patreon page for your band and then just let your fans support you. You don't need some venue. Venues are nice, but it's not the end of the world, man. Like, there are other ways to get your music in front of people. But check that out. If you haven't done so already, you can just go to patreon.com. Lots and lots and lots of artists are currently using it, and they're doing quite well at it. Now, for the one or two people out there that might be wondering how I'm doing through all of this, first of all, thanks for your concern. Appreciate it. But I can assure you that I'm all right. I'm doing just fine, man. I got about 5 different streams of income, and quite frankly, gigging accounts for less than 10% of it. But that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about in the second half of this video. Just give you some food for thought, man, on possibly setting yourself up for the future. Now, I don't know if you know my whole story. You might if you've been with this channel long enough. But I left my job, like I was working a retail job back in 2012 is when I left. But I worked in a music store for a long time, about 8 years. And the reason I left was to play full time. Like, my goal was to play drums full time and make my living, pay all my bills, and eventually my mortgage playing the drums. So I had that sit down with my wife at the time. We sat down, we talked about it, and we said, can we afford to do this? We crunched a couple of numbers, went down to part-time to go do my thing, and then eventually I just left. There was a gig that I had lined up at the time that I was a part of that looked super promising, and it was really good for about 3 years, and then it just stopped. Now, I managed to keep working for a little bit because during that time I was with them. I met a lot of people and, managed to continue to play with other people and stuff. But 2016, I had a super crappy 2016 where I hardly worked at all. And it got to the point where I really started to question if I could really do this full time, or do I have to go back and get a regular job? But that situation, as crappy as it was, it really kind of woke me up because it just caused me to ask myself, am I putting way too many eggs in this one basket? And it turns out that I was. So I just really sat down and gave it a whole lot of thought. And I thought, okay, what else can I do? Like, what can I do that I can at least have a little bit of control over so I don't have to go back to being miserable? Like, I still want to be able to play my drums and make my living that way. So 2016 really flipped the switch for me, man. Like, it just caused me to sit down, reevaluate my whole situation, and just think about ways that I can continue to do what I love to do without relying so much on the gigging. Because the fact of the matter is, as much as I love to perform, when it's good, it's really good. But when it sucks, it's horrible. So in all honesty, man, like I didn't really start to make good, consistent, sustainable money until I moved gigging further down on the list. So my words of encouragement and advice to anyone out there that's looking to do this, to be a full-time drummer, full-time musician, first of all, I'm 100% behind you, all right? Because quite frankly, it's the coolest job you'll ever have in your entire life. You're gonna go places, meet people, and experience things that you would not do doing anything else. But I don't want you to think or assume that the gigging and performing and doing the studio sessions and stuff is all there is available to you, because there's way more that you can do with your talent than just play in front of people and record a couple of songs. So what I would like to challenge you to do is just try this. Write down everything that you're good at doing, whether it's drum related or not. Just write down everything that you're really, really good at, okay? And then think of a way that you can associate that stuff with this. So you might be a fantastic communicator, you might be great at art, you might be a killer songwriter, you might be an awesome cook, like me. Doesn't make any difference what it is. Just write down everything that you're good at, and then figure out how you can sort of parlay that stuff into some sort of drum-related career. And then I want you to pick your top 3 and then pursue those 3. Now, none of this means that you're setting yourself up with a plan B, all right? This is all still plan A. As long as you're making money playing the drums, it's still plan A. So don't assume that you're trying to, take yourself away from what you really want to do. What you're sort of going after is just trying to set up a few different, multiple streams of income so that you're not just relying on the gigs. So that when unfortunate situations like this come up, you're still cool. The idea is to not think of yourself so much as a full-time drummer, but more as an entrepreneur, right? If you adapt to that mindset, then you're gonna start thinking a little bit differently about how you pursue this. You're gonna start to involve more things that you can do and relate to playing the drums as opposed to just straight playing the drums. You can take this as an opportunity to really sit down and do some thinking. If you're finding yourself in a spot now where you're not sure what to do, maybe it's time to realize that you might have too many eggs in this one basket. So that's it, man. That's my free advice. You can take it or leave it. But regardless of what you do, continue to chase those goals. Continue to dream big. Make sure you visualize. Make sure you see yourself doing what you want to do every single day. And it will happen. So that's it. Thanks for watching this video. New viewers, new subscribers, welcome to the channel. Every once in a while, you might hear a little bit of motivational stuff like this, but you're gonna get a lot of lessons here too. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when the next video is coming out. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. There it is right there. Share this video if you dig it. Join the conversation, drop a comment below, and I'm out. Like, subscribe. See you next video.